Hey there, it's Dr. Claw here with an introduction to the assignments, schedule, and points for business writing fall 2019. So hopefully you've already watched the policies and procedures video. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. So I'm going to try not to repeat anything I've said in that video or in the Yellow Dig video that I asked you to watch on Tuesday night. Okay, so first of all, on our home page, I've got the main links here. You'll see course schedule is nice and big. We looked at the syllabus in the last video. So let's pop over to the schedule real quick. You'll click on that to get to a Google Doc that has a schedule and also has a link to our textbook. So really quickly, I'll walk you through how to find that textbook. It should be pretty self-explanatory, but you go to read this book. Click on the big orange button, come over here to download this book and choose how you want to read it. I usually do a digital PDF. When you click that, you'll be prompted to download it, so save it in a way that you'll know where to be able to find it. Okay, so back to the schedule. You can pretty much count on these due dates at this point. I don't anticipate changing much of anything, although if I see an error, I will correct it. So that's why it's always nice to go into the schedule from the link on the home page rather than downloading it, because you know this one's always going to be up to date. Okay, so this week we are getting started with business writing. So your textbook sections will get you started with thinking about business writing and what it is and how you can use it. And on Yellow Dig, you'll introduce yourself, which a lot of you have already done, and talk about your expectations for business writing, which I will set up a prompt for that. But if you want to go ahead and start talking about that, that's fine. So there's two things to note in the column for readings. And one of those sections will pretty much always be a textbook section. Those come with some required readings. Ooh, I just realized this will have two for TCR 1. So I'll probably set up another TCR here so that you don't have to turn in your first one until later. But anyway, I'll post about that on Yellow Dig. Your textbook sections are all required. They're the required reading for the semester. They will walk you through understanding business writing, starting with sort of the basics and building up to some more complicated aspects of it. And so that's the only thing that I require you to read and read in the order in which I present it. Now, you will also have the opportunity to write critical responses on non-textbook selections for extra points. And talking about points will be a whole other thing, so I'm not going to go into that right now, but that's basically the two sections of the reading column. You've got the blue links, and then you've got the textbook sections. And I just realized I'm pretty sure the syllabus links to an old one, so I'm going to highlight that real quick so that I know to come back and fix that. So everybody looking at it is like, why is she highlighting that? Okay, so basically assignments will be due on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays are critical reading responses, and assignments will be due on Friday. In this class, you'll have two types of deadlines. You'll have hard, fixed deadlines, and then suggested deadlines. All of the textbook critical reading assignments are hard deadlines, and that's to ensure that you keep up with the reading and that you're able to follow along with class discussion and that you're prepared to do the assignments that I'm asking you to do. So the textbook readings will help you meet those goals, and so I do require that you turn those in every Monday. This is going to help keep you on schedule and help you keep up with this class, particularly if you're taking some face-to-face classes as well, because it can be easy to kind of put your online classes on the back burner. The other type of due date is the suggested due date, and you'll see that on assignments, even if they're a required read assignment or if they're not a required assignment, you'll still see a suggested due date. That means that in order for you to not be totally swamped with work from this class and to kind of keep your progress going along at an easy and reasonable pace, I suggest you turn this item in on whatever the date is. So for here, August 30th. That being said, if it's something that's a suggested due date, I will not assess a late penalty for that if you turn it in late. Keep in mind, however, that a lot of these components with suggested due dates will build into later items. So if you turn something in very late, you might not have time to get feedback from me before you need to turn in the next component. And so you're setting yourself up for a disadvantage there if you try to turn everything in at the end. Basically, you'll get no feedback and you'll be trying to revise things that you don't really know what you did right or wrong in those things. But anyway, suggested due dates means you have some flexibility in how you schedule things. Okay, so as I mentioned, red items are required, so you have to complete those assignments. Black items are optional. So these are things that maybe you're interested in them. So maybe you've been meaning to set up a LinkedIn profile and you haven't gotten around to it. Well, you could do it for this class and earn some points towards your grade. So why not? Or maybe you always struggle to write professional emails to people and you worry about how to phrase things, whether you're accepting a job or maybe turning a job down or something like that. Well, this could be a great assignment for you to practice that and to get feedback from me on your tone and your approach and all that, and to earn points towards your final grade. So you can kind of look through the ones that aren't red and see if any of those are interesting to you and decide if you want to do those to make up some of your extra points. Blue items are group items, and those are all required and have firm due dates. So the group items have to be turned in on the due date that I list here. That's because it doesn't really work if everybody in a group is like, oh, I'm going to turn this one in now, and then someone else is like, I'm going to turn it in 5 weeks from now. That just doesn't work. So the group stuff has hard due dates as well. And that's pretty much it. So the only other hard due date is the final exam. And that's because I'll need to be able to submit grades to the registrar, particularly for those of you graduating in December. Okay, so that's, we've now talked about these two columns. The second column just gives you the topics of what we're talking about that week, so you can kind of get a holistic sense of what's going on. We have the dates over here, and I will note things like fall break or Thanksgiving break and that sort of thing. So that is how you use the schedule. And for any of the blue links, you can control click, or on a Mac, I think it's probably the little like clover looking button. I'm not sure what that button is called. And click on the link and it'll take you over to the resource. So even though I'm not requiring you to read these and to write critical responses on these, you would be surprised at how helpful some of these items are. So I do highly recommend you look at them to really strengthen your business writing. And most of them are also going to help you with assignments due that week as well. So it's definitely worth checking through those. Citations for all of our open educational resources materials are here at the bottom, where you can find who published it and when and what's the direct link to it and that sort of thing. So that's all available right there. Okay, so that was the course schedule. Now let's talk about points. So one of the reasons that I was still kind of working on everything for this class when the term started yesterday is because I wanted to convert this to a points-based class where you have a little bit of flexibility in terms of what types of writing you complete. So there are required things, as I said, that are in red. I'm going to open that with Google Sheets. I think it's a little better visual. And those are to make sure that you do achieve those learning outcomes of business writing. But you can earn points from everything that you do in the class. So everyone starts with 0 points, and then you'll see you can earn different amounts of points for the different assignments. So those required textbook critical readings, those are abbreviated as TCRs, you can get up to 38,500 points for those if you get a perfect score on all of those. However, if you don't get a perfect score on all of those, that's okay. I mean, you can get like 50,000 extra points by doing the supplementary readings and doing a critical response on this. So that's kind of the point of points-based grading, is that you don't have to freak out if you don't get a perfect score on everything. And I also do allow you the opportunity to resubmit items. If, let's say, you get feedback from me and you're like, oh man, I really feel like I just misunderstood and I'd like to redo that, you're always welcome to do that. So here you'll see right now I don't have the required points to pass filled in, and I mentioned this in the policies and procedures video. I'm going through and I need to rewrite the rubrics for all of the assignments so that they reflect the number of points in the individual assignment instead of being on a 100-point scale. And so once I've done those rubrics, I can look at the minimum score on each assignment that you need to pass that assignment and then fill in this column. So once I do that, you'll see what the minimum number of points is you need to pass the class. I estimate it'll be something around this number, but to get an A in the class, you need 540,000 points. And if you completed every assignment and did it perfectly, that would net you 627,500 points. So you can see there is a pretty sizable buffer there. So, you know, if you don't do something perfectly or you want to skip an assignment because it's just not appealing to you, then that's fine. You can do that and still get an A in the class. So anyway, as I figure out what the minimum points are, I'll fix this number, and then the other letter grades, the points you need for those, I'll fill in here once I have a clearer sense of kind of what the bottom of the range is there. So that's how points work. And let's see, I have talked to you in the Yellow Dig video about Yellow Dig, but let me remind you of where that is. If you go to modules, you'll click on Yellow Dig posts. So the first time you go into Yellow Dig, you'll want to do it this way for two reasons. Number one, because it will give you the tutorial, and number two, there will be a link down here. So instead of the window, you'll see a link. It says like click to load Yellow Dig in a new browser. And once you click on that link, it connects Yellow Dig to your grades here in Canvas. So you want to make sure you do that. This link goes to like the student help page for Yellow Dig specifically. So click there for technological questions about Yellow Dig because they're the experts, not me. But also keep in mind that you are working, actually I think it's 20,000 points for Yellow Dig. Let's see. I mean 200,000 points for Yellow Dig. Yeah. Yeah, that number might change. But anyway, just keep in mind that the number of points you get, because this was for a class that has more total points in their class. The number of points you get on Yellow Dig does not necessarily reflect your score on that, and you're going to start at a 0% score for Yellow Dig at the beginning of the term, and you won't be able to attain 100% until later in the term. So that percentage will always look low early on, but don't freak out. As I said, make sure you watch this tutorial video. That's going to clear up a lot of stuff. Okay, so the other thing to note is you'll see once I populate all of the due dates, you'll see some of them popping up over here, and you'll see due dates for example, the required assignments, the red ones. But keep in mind, if it's something that's not a TCR and it's not a group assignment, let's say it's this company presentation, you'll see a due date on Canvas of 11/8. But again, I'm not going to assess a late penalty for that. So that's a suggested due date. But anyway, that can help you see what's going on. But you know, you'll all of a sudden see a bunch of assignments right here. So don't freak out. That's just the nature of an online class. The other thing that I would like to remind you of is that all assignments are due by December 6th. So that's the last day of classes. I cannot accept any classwork after that date. So make sure that you plan ahead. I can't accept stuff on December 7th or 8th or any of that. The only thing I can accept after that point is the final exam, which will be due on the Thursday of exam week. And that final exam will be a traditional business plan, and I'll give you lots of information about that as we go along in the term. So that is pretty much it. If you do have questions, definitely post on Yellow Dig, use the Q&A tag, and tag me with the @ symbol. And welcome to business writing.